Peace. Spears and mics. Hip hop culture, knowledge, and the streets. Man, 30 years, 1996 to 2026. Really sounds like we in the future. Uh, 1996, man, some of the greatest hip hop albums in the history of the culture came out 30 years ago. And, what's special to me about 1996 is the fact that it was a year where I was just buying a lot of albums, because it was like my first year working. I had a little bit of money. So, when you got your own money, you buy your own things, your own movies, your own CDs, your own clothes, that's what you spend. You get a beeper or whatever at the time, you get fresh. But 1996, I just remember buying mad albums, just building my collection. And some would say it's one of the greatest years in hip hop, and I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. To me, 93, 94, also great, 95 as well. Those 4 years to me are like my favorite stretch, 93, 94, 95, and 96. But when it comes to 1996, right, we got like wild heavyweights. Tupac, All Eyes on Me, one of the best selling albums, period, of any genre that year. I think it sold, I think it went diamond, over 20 million or 30 million or something like that. So it sold significantly. And I know it kind of cheat in a way because All Eyes on Me was a double disc, so the skills actually counted twice. Same thing for Life After Death and any other hip hop album that was a double. And I know someone had a triple. I don't know I forgot who it was. But anyway, 1996, right? We had Tupac, All Eyes on Me. We had Fugee's The Score. That thing sold I think about 20 million or so. It's a crazy worldwide success. And I was on Fugee's from the first album, but this album was definitely a step forward. I would say, I like both of them equally, but most would say they probably like The Score the most. And Lauryn Hill really, I guess, stepped up into another realm at that point. She really stood out as probably the greatest out of the group, you know what I'm saying? And then ultimately went on to have that success with, her solo career. But, peace to the Fugees, peace to Wyclef Jean, peace to Pras, and, peace to Lauryn Hill, L Boogie. You know what I'm saying? So Fugees, right? Heltah Skeltah Nocturnal. That's my favorite album in 1996. One of my top 3 from that year. And what I could say about Heltah Skeltah is Nocturnal is it just continued like that boot camp movement going, because we already had the Black Moon classic Enter the Stage. We already had the Smith & Wesson, The Shining, another classic. And then this just kept solidifying the boot camp movement. And I was already hooked from Black Moon. And being that, when you listen to The Shining, you could hear Ruck and Rock on Session at the Dog Hill on the Smith & Wesson release. I was like, yo, them dudes is nice. I wanted to hear more. So I was already hooked, man. Once I was on Rap City or Yo MTV Raps and I seen, seen the Operation Lockdown video, I was like, yo, this is crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of my favorite joints, man. Triple R Rated, Soldiers Gone Psycho. There's a lot of joints on there, man. Even Operation Lockdown, Therapy. You know what I'm saying? That's a classic. But Nocturnal, man, was incredible. And peace to Rockness, rest in peace to Sean Price. Miss that brother, man, for real. One of my favorites, Sean Price, one of my favorites. At that time during Nocturnal, though, Rockness was my favorite. Probably my favorite, him and Steel out of Boot Camp, and Buckshot, of course. So we covered, right? We had Nocturnal, Heltah Skeltah. We had Fugees, The Score. We had Tupac, All Eyes on Me. We had De La Soul, Stakes is High. That's my favorite De La album. And I know there's so many to pick from, and we can go crazy, with the De La Soul catalog, because their catalog is crazy, filled with wild classics. But I don't know, something about Stakes is High, man. I gave that the most burn, because that album was like my era. You know what I'm saying? Like they were out before when I was a little bit too young. So like, you know, I was just getting my feet wet with hip hop. But Stakes is High came out during my, like, I was fully immersed in hip hop. So I guess that's what, really, you know, made me feel that album more so than any other album that they had. What else? Muddy Waters by RedMan. That's one of probably my second favorite, or I don't know. It's all interchangeable. I could feel different on different days, but RedMan Muddy Waters was incredible, man. Eric Sermon, Rock Wilder, I think may have done some work on there as well. Just an incredible album. That's my favorite RedMan album and one of my favorite albums of 1996. What else came out off the Nas, It Was Written, you know what I'm saying? And the thing about It Was Written is that a lot of people will say that It Was Written was better than Illmatic. I've heard this discussion a lot. I've heard people argue about it. And like, I can't debate it because although Illmatic was a flawless album and one of the greatest debuts in hip hop, it was only 9 songs, It Was Written had more songs, you know what I'm saying, if you want to compare it like that. But there was it was a different sound, of course, right? Of course, Illmatic is more gritty. Nas stepped into that Escobar role during It Was Written, but there's still an edge to it, you know what I'm saying? Taken in Blood, Silent Murder, which is only on the cassette. Like I was saying one time, my man Jerry bought the cassette, and I bought the CD, and I felt cheated because he got it for cheaper, but he got more songs. So, but that was dope though. I would say, It Was Written is, man, I don't know, Taken in Blood is crazy. Black Girl Lost, Suspect, the joint with Lauryn Hill. I can never get tired of that record, you know what I'm saying? So definitely probably gave that the most burn out of every album that came out in 1996. So my 3 favorites is Nocturnal by Heltah Skeltah, RedMan Muddy Waters, and Nas It Was Written. And there's a couple other joints. I think Exhibit, At the Speed of Life, I think that was his debut. Who could forget Paparazzi, the video, the beat, you know what I'm saying? You could hear like the instrumental in your head instantly, and I think I remember that being featured on The Sopranos too, season 1. I think that's how season 1 ended, if I recall. So it's like that was a good look for hip hop, in my opinion. What else, man? 1996. Let me look at the phone real quick. Yeah, Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt. How could I forget that? I really wasn't big on Hove. Like, he kind of grew on me, like, after In My Lifetime Volume 1 came out, and The Streets Is Watching visual, the soundtrack, the visual, he had all the videos. So, like, progressively, I started to dig Jay's music a little bit more. Of course, I liked all the singles that came out. I liked the album. I never jumped to buy it right away. My best man had it on cassette, and I was listening to it with him so much, and I just was so tired of hearing him play it. I never even bought it until, a couple years later when I started to build, when I bought In My Lifetime Volume 1, then I picked up Reasonable Doubt and, Hard Knock Life. And I think I bought every Hove album, like every Nas album, every Hove album, every boot camp release, all the major Wu-Tang releases. What else? Speaking of Wu-Tang, Ghostface Killer, Iron Man, 1996. Man, now that I gotta starting to think about some of these, like Iron Man is one of my favorite albums too. Daytona 500, Camé, Winter Wars, Capadonna had one of the best feature songs you could probably hear in hip hop. Man, that verse was crazy on Ice Cream. Winter Wars, Ice Cream, right? Winter Wars, that's what I'm talking about, Capadonna. But Ice Cream I'm bugging. this is why you know I'm getting old, because now I'm mixing Raekwon's debut with Iron Man. Um, but pardon me on that one. Forgive me, hip hop fans. I know y'all ready to come light up the torches and come with the hip hop pitchforks on me. But I'm just tired. It's, nighttime right now, and I'm just trying to get a little content out because 1996 has to be discussed. Let me take a quick peek at what else is out there. Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth. Come on, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to really, really, really think about what release for 1996 was my favorite. Because Hell on Earth, of course we know Juvenile Hell's their debut. The Infamous is the follow-up, one of my personal favorites, right? But Hell on Earth, man, I think I bumped that the most out of all the Mob collection, So that's, the G.O.D. Father Part 3, man, I could hear that, like, in my head ringing. Roots, Illadelph, Half-Life. That was a dope joint. I got that one too. Not on release date, but a little while after that. Busta Rhymes, The Coming. Busta Rhymes, The Coming. So this is his solo debut. And right now, in my mind, the first song I could think of is Flip Mode versus Def Squad, which I think, to me, is my personal favorite when it comes to posse cuts in hip hop. Shout out to Marley G, Little Jamal from Illegal. I think he had a vicious verse. I think he had the best verse. I'm gonna be real, and I've heard a couple people say that too. When I discuss that, let me know in the comments who you think had the best verse on Flip Mode versus Def Squad. But I think all of them killed it though. You know what I'm saying? Every one of them, from RedMan, Keith, everybody. Another album, speaking of Keith, Cool Keith, peace to Cool Keith, Dr. Doom, Dr. Octagon, I'm sorry, Dr. Doom is the follow-up. Dr. Octagon came out in 1996, if I recall correctly. What else? What did I miss? Is there anything else? Like, of course, there's a lot of albums that came out. UGK, Rod and Dirty. Here's one that I got to speak on too. And I'll close it off on this one. Outkast, AT Aliens. Now, I've been on Outkast since the very, very beginning. When it comes to Outkast, peace to my man Fabulous Fab. I moved to Long Island from Brooklyn, and we were living in this apartment in a house, like the second floor. And down at the first level, the owner of the house, the family was the brother Fabulous Fab, who was the longtime road manager for Busta Rhymes. And Fab wound up, he used to go to Atlanta a lot. And one time he came back from Atlanta and he had a snippets tape, a cassette, and it said Outkast, Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music. And it had like 3 or 4 songs on it. And I was mind blown because, at the time I never really heard nothing. Like, of course I heard Common out of Chicago. Of course I heard all the West Coast stuff, but like this sound was so different. And then, so I bought that album as soon as it came out because he put me on it, and I put on mad people. All the brothers in the community put them on to Outkast from the jump, right? And of course, a lot of people was vibing and rocking with it in New York. Like, it was something so different and so ill. We all gravitated towards it. But when it comes to 1996, Outkast, AT Aliens, Elevators, I used to listen to that instrumental a lot. I had bought the single. It's a flawless album. Super classic. I might have to just go top 5 for 1996 for me, because it's too hard to go top 3. But listen, there's a lot of albums we could have talked about. I just wanted to talk about some of my favorites. Hopefully we could revisit this maybe down the line with Just P, with Watt, get their take on it. I'm sure they got a lot of memories on 1996. But wanted to get a jump on this and just talk about it. Drop a comment. Let me know what your favorite 1996 album was, or memory within the culture. Maybe you was at a B-boy battle. Maybe you was, throwing up pieces on the wall in 1996. What was hip hop like for you in 1996? For me, it was just me submerging myself deeper and deeper in the culture, and just getting a grip on the art of MCing, you know, like learning the culture as a 16-year-old, you know what I mean? Just reading the Source magazine, listening to it as much as I can, just submerging myself in the culture. But once again, man, thanks for everybody that tunes in to Spears and Mics. I'm L1, and you know, Spears and Mics. We talk about hip hop, culture. We drop some knowledge once in a while, and we talk about the street affairs at times too. All right, peace and love, man.